from the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast, this is AgDay.
Coming up on AgDay.
The nitrogen will strip the CO2 out of the beer and make it nice and smooth.
Breaking down the science of the food and drink we eat. Are times changing for the dairy industry?
Domestic demand continues to grow
as trade talks once again turn to China.
But what we're doing is we're negotiating a very tough deal.
AgDay, presented by the Chevy Silverado and the all-new Silverado HD, the strongest, most advanced family of Silverados ever.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Another round of trade talks between the U.S. and China are underway in Washington. Farm Journal Washington correspondent Jim Wiesmeyer saying more talks are taking place today between deputy-level officials. Thursday and Friday will be high-level talks. U.S. officials taking part include Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer and Treasury Secretary Steven Mnuchin. Vice Premier Liu He will lead the Chinese contingent. President Trump continuing to say he sees a very good chance for a trade deal.
Right now we're in a very important stage in terms of possibly making a deal. If we make it, it'll be the biggest trade deal ever made. But I see China as somebody that we deal with on the world stage. I would like to get along with China if we can, and if we can, that's great. If we can't, that's okay too. But what we're doing is we're negotiating a very tough deal. If the deal's not going to be 100% for us, then we're not going to get it.
Wiesmeyer says some of his sources report the Trump administration officials and business leaders have discussed ways each side could make concessions to yield a mini deal. That deal would possibly delay the previously announced October 15th and December 15th tariffs. As the talk started up again on Monday, USDA announced another flash sale of soybeans to China. It reported 198,000 metric ton buy of soybeans by the country. Now, Reuters reporting Beijing has now scheduled about 3.5 million tons of U.S. soybeans for delivery since early last month. That's only about 10% of what they were buying every year before the trade war. China's Commerce Ministry saying last week Chinese companies have agreed to buy sizable amounts of soybeans and pork from the U.S., but it didn't specify the amounts. And the impact of the trade war continues to be reflected in ag export numbers. The value of U.S. agricultural exports in August came in at $10.46 billion. That's down from $10.79 billion in July. It represents the smallest export total for the year. That brought the cumulative export total to $124.46 billion, also down from 2018. In an effort to increase its export market, JBS USA says it plans to produce pork without a growth drug banned by China. Now, it says it will remove ractopamine. It's a feed additive used to raise leaner pigs. JBS USA also owns Brazil's JBS SA. It says it removed ractopamine from internally owned production systems in August of last year. Now the company will also remove use of the drug from the diets of hogs owned by farmers who sell their animals to JBS USA. Now the pork is sold under brands that include Swift and Swift Premium. Farming traditions passed down from one generation to the next are a hallmark of the family farm, as meteorologist Kimberly Newman shows us in today's crop comments. Kimberly?
Well, this is pretty great. Ned Heltzley of Kansas, Illinois shared this video on Twitter. He says this is his dad coming by to go for a ride during harvest time. He says his dad just turned, get this, 89 years old a few weeks ago, and age is just a number for him. Great to see those families farming together. Looking closely at those wind speeds across the area, it looks like it will be especially blustery through the midsection of the United States here, from the northern plains stretching down through the plains and into the panhandle of Texas. This carries us through this afternoon with 25+ mile-an-hour winds, as we're looking at potential snow falling in parts of Idaho and northern Montana. Meanwhile, as we get into our Wednesday morning, tomorrow it seems as though the wind is really in the same spot throughout the plains, but it drops a little bit farther south along the Rockies, where we're expecting to see some gustier winds through parts of Utah and into northern Arizona. I'll have more in your full forecast coming up in just a bit. Now, here are some hometown temps.
Introducing Farm Journal TV, on demand 24/7. AgDay, Machinery Pete TV. U.S. Farm Report on your phone and tablet. Download the Farm Journal TV mobile app today.
What do you plan to do with this year's crop? Store it or sell it right now? Some insights that could help you make a decision coming up. And later, unlocking the secrets behind what makes your favorite food and drinks taste so good.
Hey y'all, Justin Moore here. Get ready to kick up some dust with the Roxor Dirt Roads and a Country Show sweepstakes. Enter now for a chance to win a customized off-road Roxor and 2 VIP tickets to one of my upcoming concerts. Visit roxoroffroad.com/Justin Moore.
We told you about the EPA's plan regarding ethanol, a plan it hopes will help farmers and also increase demand. Now the oil industry is responding. The American Petroleum Institute and the American Fuel and Petrochemical Manufacturers releasing a statement saying, quote, this rush policy announcement is equivalent to changing the rules in the middle of the game and is a loser for the American consumer. If this arbitrary policy was conceived to help farmers, it provides no immediate relief. Instead, it only further distorts the fuels market. It is by no means a win-win. We will vigorously challenge this new policy in the weeks to come and continue advocating for Congress to reform the RFS, end quote. Now, under the plan, there would be an unspecified increase in the amount of ethanol oil refiners would have to blend starting next year. The EPA putting the issue up for public comment now, and once the rules are finalized, the EPA says it will ensure more than 15 billion gallons of ethanol are blended every year. November soybeans opened higher on Monday, but failed to rally above Friday's session highs. Let's see where we're starting things out this Tuesday from the CME.
Today in the grain market, soybeans were a little bit mixed. Some consolidation channel has really extended for the last number of days. China did buy beans, and the winter storm ahead is keeping the futures afloat, but not by much, which is kind of interesting because you think that this bullish news really should have pushed this market around. Wheat is also steady. Funds are still holding their positions when all the data is really basically bearish. Concerns that the early snow could hamper some of the harvest is not really moving the needle much. China, we know, is reluctant to agree to any kind of broad purchases across the board, and that's definitely what wheat would need. So we're definitely watching the U.S.-China trade talks. They're going to be coming up soon, and anything else that might give us a little bit of a tell to give us a direction on this market right now. But the numbers will tell the tale at the end come Thursday when the USDA report comes out. Today the feeders were a little bit easier. The futures were just starting to slip somewhat, and we see that the feeder cattle market technically has been down the last couple of days, not by a lot, but perhaps the trend is turning and it's going to bring the live cattle along.
Bob Utterback with Utterback Marketing stopping by the studios today. Bob, let's talk about not just our direct commodity markets like we do most days. Let's talk about the outside markets and things that could end up influencing or are influencing commodities and land and so many other factors in our lives.
I find it interesting that the market's so focused on some of the big pictures, global warming, terrorism, and the public media and the farce going in Washington. And we're in a story that seems not getting any traction at all is the monetary stimulation that we're seeing by the Fed banks into the money supply the last 3 days have infused a tremendous amount of money. And, you know, I don't know the reason for it.
Sure.
And I'm trying to find out if anybody's got a real reason, please call me, and I'd like to hear why they're doing it. And I've heard the numbers that are staggering, how much would be significantly greater than the TARP in the 2008 situation. But it seems to me that we're putting liquidity into the system, which is inflationary. And you see that reflected in the gold. You got to see money's come into gold significantly, in silver. And the dollar is now back to 98 from its lows. It's halfway to its record highs, but the dollar is firming, and that's going to make exports even harder for us to ship.
Sure.
I think the impact on farming is going to be, the natural tendency is we talk inflation. Oh, the market's going to go up, so I could hope for higher prices. But I think the real action will be is your input costs are going to go up, fertilizer cost, and I think you're going to see equities money come out of equities going into land, and you see land values not declining, so cash rents don't break. So costs go up, but your selling price with more acres planted goes down, and all of a sudden the margin squeeze is on. So that to me is a very strong indicator in the November, December time period. I got to make a hard decision about this whole 19 crop. Do I really want to take the gamble and store all the way to next year and not sell the carry and hope for a weather scare market, which I just farmers do such a great job of selling weather scare markets.
Right.
And that's facetious. They do not
well,
do
it's hard to sell what you don't know if you're going to
right.
have.
So we're hoping on a weather scare market to bail you out, or we'd be better off to get our money out of it, get the payment from the government, be done with the crop, focus on 2020 corn at $4.20, $4.15 to $4.25. I think in those prices, you can lock in a decent $4 cash price. Doesn't hit the home run, but you survive. And you get prepared for what I think could be the 1980 to 85 sideways market behavior with brief periods of radicalness with weather, but be prepared for, I think, some time period of some stress that we have to deal with.
Interesting. A little bit of the Bob the Bear on that one, I think.
Bob the Bear's back.
Yeah, but sticking with us as always, right?
Yes.
So we'll be back in more Ag Day coming up in just a minute.
To talk with Bob one-on-one, call Utterback Marketing Services, toll free at 800-832-1488. Ag Day, brought to you by the Milk Business Conference. Don't miss this dairy business-focused event November 11th and 12th, 2019 in Las Vegas. Register today at milkbusinessconference.com.
Meteorologist Kenny Newman filling in on Ag Day today. And Kimberly, as we look at the map here, it may just be fall, but winter is arriving in places.
It really is. And Clinton, for some folks, we're talking snowfall with a winter storm warning in effect. For other folks, we're talking about that dangerous first frost of the season. I want to draw your attention here to this low pressure system where you actually see rain showers and snowflakes flying throughout the day today, something that certainly signals that the seasons are changing. Meanwhile, high pressure system will hold steady with very gusty winds, a tightly packed pressure gradient through the middle section of our nation. Meanwhile, down to the south, low pressure system there that connects with a cold front to another off the coast, and some rain showers that we're expecting to see over the next couple of days. Thankfully for parts of the Great Lakes region, there's a nice high pressure system in control. We're looking at sunny and dry conditions for the most part. Those will hold through Wednesday and get us into at least Thursday morning before some showers start to build through parts of the Great Lakes. Notice that snow dropping a little farther south as we get into Wednesday and Thursday morning. So if we took a look at rain showers first, our precipitation is building, especially down in Florida. Looks like we've got some heavy showers there, very, very wet conditions, and more of that rain right along that cold front and just behind that boundary. This takes us through the day today into tomorrow, and the snowfall, oh, I hate to say it, it's almost heartbreaking to see so early in the season, but we got to take a look at this. We are certainly building up some significant accumulations, especially coming into the southern part of Montana. Meanwhile, temperatures here over the next couple of days, very, very chilly. Well, guess where? Where the snow is falling, of course. Temperatures in the 40s with overnight lows in the 30s. Afternight lows across most of the region are going to drop down into the 50s, 40s. Some areas, though, still hanging on to those 70s, like parts of New Orleans, Miami, and Jacksonville. How about Rochester, New York at 42 degrees, waking up on Wednesday morning. Salt Lake City waking up at 57. Phoenix, comfortable, dry, 72. As we get into the next couple of hours here, we move forward into the afternoon hours with those warming temperatures. However, it is deeply cold in parts of Montana throughout the day. All of this changing over the next couple of days. You'll see that jet stream coming through, even a little bit of a cooler air diving down into the Great Lakes by Saturday. Meanwhile, as we get into the beginning of next week, we are more comfortable and a little bit dry with a zonal flow setting up. That's a look across the nation. Here's a look at what's happening in your neck of the woods. Happening in Browning, Montana, a winter storm warning with a high of only 40 degrees and lows in the teens. Alexandria, Minnesota, breezy with lots of sun and a high of 68. Meanwhile, in Orange, Massachusetts, mostly sunny and calm with a high of 65.
Is the dairy industry in the midst of a price turnaround? What the numbers show coming up, and more good news when it comes to dairy demand. Next.
Hey y'all, Justin Moore here. Get ready to kick up some dust with the Roxor Dirt Roads and a Country Show sweepstakes. Enter now for a chance to win a customized off-road Roxor and 2 VIP tickets to one of my upcoming concerts. Visit roxoroffroad.com/Justin Moore.
USDA is forecasting a jump in all milk prices, putting it at $18.85 per hundredweight for 2020. That's up 50 cents from the 2019 forecast. Mark Stevenson, the director of dairy policy at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, says he's been saying for almost a full year that this year will be the beginning of the recovery. He says 2020 will be the next peak in prices.
I think that milk prices are likely to be as much as $1 higher than they were than they will be in 2019. And 2019 is up a little over $1 from 2018. So, you know, we've had some price recovery, and I expect more. But you know, as I said, it's not going to be a 2014 kind of year.
He cautions to watch for bigger trends to avoid getting caught up in daily futures market swings. Domestic dairy demand seems to be a positive in the industry as well. According to Dairy Management Incorporated, cheese used on pizza accounts for 25% of cheese sales nationally. However, fluid milk consumption has been steadily declining for decades due to many choices the consumer may choose. Industry leaders say other dairy products are picking up the slack.
Domestic demand continues to grow, and that's actually something of a misconception that dairy is in decline and that people aren't consuming as many dairy products. Certainly they're drinking less milk, but they're consuming dairy in other forms like butter and cheese and yogurt.
Galen says the nature of the dairy products sold to people has shifted, but he says that's not just unique to the U.S. Coming up, we like to think food is all about taste, but it's also about science, and unlocking the secrets is the subject of this interesting class at Purdue. We'll take you inside next.
Closed captioning is brought to you by BASF. Grow smart with BASF. We create chemistry.
What's happening behind closed doors at Purdue University could possibly revolutionize every aspect of agriculture. It's not just plant breeding, it's also food and beer. As Farm Journal's Tyne Morgan reports, the research is being served up at Purdue.
The perfect pour.
This one's a little bit different than pouring most beers. This is a nitro version, so it's like a Guinness.
Is a science that starts with making beer.
The nitrogen will strip the CO2 out of the beer and make it nice and smooth.
People's Brewing Company bleeds Golden Black, proof by the beer on display. Beer with a strong tie to Purdue.
This is the room where the Boiler Black beer was born.
Boiler Black, one of People's most popular beer, was concocted here.
And so it's a really exciting space for the students.
A working classroom where Purdue University teaches its fermentation sciences minor.
And when we do talk about fermentation sciences, alcoholic beverage is only a small slice.
From sausages to cheeses to breads, Kurtelak says it's an art.
There definitely is an art. This is not, when you look at the art, that's really on the front end on that formulation. And if it's not repeatable, it's not science.
A science that starts here.
Well, walking in here, this is not your traditional classroom.
In the Skidmore Laboratory.
And in this classroom, it's a very active space.
A place where Kurtelak says ideas become reality.
This is actually the critical link between ideation and actualization. So you ideate and you say, this is what I'd like to do. How do I actually get this onto the shelf?
A science that starts to dig into the formula in a unique way.
The first step is to define your product scientifically. If somebody tells me it's jalapeno sauce, that doesn't really matter as much as what is your pH, what is your viscosity.
A prime example is this, spicy jalapeno sauce. A couple individuals brewed up this sauce in their garage, selling it at local farmers market. That was until Trader Joe's approached them, wanting 40,000 jars per month.
And the first step was to come to Purdue. And when they came to campus, they were referred to food science, and we were able to help them understand the difference between a recipe and a formula.
Students play a key role in making an idea into a scientific reality. Students like Stephanie Roth.
I would like to be an engineer on the R&D team, so that way helping out, seeing if a product is feasible, because it's cool to have a nice, new, innovative product, but if it's not feasible to upscale and sell, and if the consumers don't want it, then there's no point trying to upscale it in the first place.
Students also indulge in other fun projects like this.
What does the boiler tracks taste like?
Heaven. No, it's wonderful. It's really a fantastic product. It's got a lot of blend-ins. It's got kind of a caramel ribbon in it.
Tasty treats without sacrificing the safety of the food.
I think that it's very, very important for anybody who comes into our facility to understand that it is not an automatic thing for us to have the safest and most efficient food supply in the history of humanity. That is not automatic. It takes a tremendous amount of work.
Lessons that will extend way beyond the classroom.
I always say we're not training the B team. These are the leaders of the food industry that are coming through Purdue Food Science.
That's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in, spent part of your day with us. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.